Hello, people of the internet. I am James Phoenix, and this is another episode of the Final Countdown. We are here to do the thing we do every month, and that is count down the top 5 of whatever we feel like counting down that month. Five. And if you've been watching this show for the last 8 months or so, you know that this is our year of villains here on the Final Countdown. Every list this year has been related to villains in some way.
And if you haven't, he's just told you.
Precisely. And if you haven't, why not go back and watch them? They're on our channel. But in the meantime, today's list will be the top 5 villain defeats in media. So top 5 instances of villains being defeated in varying manners. Now, defeat, to emphasize, defeat does not mean death. It just means they are stopped.
Yep.
Though it can mean death. It just doesn't have to.
Yep.
Joining me are Chriz the Mole.
Award-winning Chriz, a.k.a. the Mole. Bringing class to the Final Countdown where the Americans can't. Thank you.
And Anastasia Lazerbeam. Pew pew.
Hi.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and, as usual, I'm going to start on what is a little one.
Games!
Okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start on what is on the left on my screen, and we'll start with number 5 with Stacy.
1 second.
It's the number after 4.
No, I just had to just do one thing. Anyway, so my number 5 one is you can see it.
Boogie Boogie.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
When he comes apart from the seams and he's full of nothing but bugs and disgusting grossness. And, he just looks and you can see the thing that goes around and catches a seam. He starts going apart and then he still kind of remains conscious as he slowly falls apart because there's nothing holding him together.
Mm-hmm.
His plant and him literally come apart from the seams. So, yeah, and that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool.
Okay.
And his song was awesome.
Yes.
I'm the boogeyman.
No, when it's sung well, it's awesome.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mole, you're number 5. Nice.
Technically not Stay Puft. I'm going for the Gozer defeat, which was part of that. Because it's really iconic of just turning around, crossing the stream through the door, everything blowing the fuck up, the marshmallow going everywhere. It's iconic for a reason. It's a feel-good moment. And it's one of those moments of, we need to do a gambit. We're going to cross the streams. What? You said don't cross the streams. And it's just that moment where a lot of things since it have done that. Oh, they mentioned don't do this later, so you know they're going to later on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never as good.
No.
But Ghostbusters, the original, Stay Puft.
Very cool.
And you could include him because I love Stay Puft. So I was like, hey, he counts as the end of the end.
He does. He's the form of the destroyer. He's part of Gozer.
I'll admit, I've made sure all my pictures come from the moment they were defeated.
Excellent. I did that to the best of my ability.
Same here.
So on to Kingdom Hearts or Power Rangers.
Neither. Surprisingly.
They're on there somewhere.
No, they're not, actually. Neither is Disney. I don't know how I managed that, but I did.
It's going to be WWE.
No, it's not that either. You would think. I was shocked as I put this list together, and all the shit I came up with was related to...
It's from Kingdom Keepers. I'm counting that as Disney.
It's not Kingdom Keepers.
I assume on Jim's, it would be Kingdom Hearts, Power Rangers, Star Trek, and that they're the top 3 I would include. Oh, and obviously Power Rangers.
Yeah. Really, actually, none of those. Only one of them is from a thing that I'm known to be a fan. Well, 2 of them technically are things I'd be a fan of, but not those major things. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and start this off. I went interestingly on one of these just because for some reason I thought Epic Defeats just popped into my head, and the defeat itself, as in what ended this is okay. The dude got shot. fair enough. But it was everything
Like-
surrounding the dude getting shot that made this one epic.
Mr. Burns.
No, but that's a good one.
Mhm.
No, that was a good one. No, I'm gonna put this up here. This is Sonny Forelli in the finale of Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Because Sonny Forelli getting shot is literally the end goal of the entire climax, which is literally Tommy starting World War III on Starfish Island and murdering like 100 dudes to eventually get to Sonny and have a shootout here in the lobby of his giant mansion that he had control of in true Scarface style. It is badass. And shutting down Sonny after all the shit he did to him, he just pulls a gummy gun, he says a badass line, just dead, done. And it's awesome.
Vice City was an amazing GTA game. Probably the best GTA game.
It is. I would be very pleased if they at some point decided to go back and like remake the visuals to today's standards. That would be amazing.
Yeah. In fact, I'll even go as far as to say that trilogy is the last time it was good.
I can see why you would say that. I do give some credit to the Liberty City and Vice City stories prequels, though. Those were also pretty good.
I would include those as part of the trilogy, as like companions.
Okay, yeah, definitely better than 4 and 5 have been. I completely agree on that.
Although I will say the DLC on 4, The Ballad of Gay Tony, was actually really fun.
I heard that was really good. I didn't play that, but I did hear very good things.
That much of the game being fun compared to that much not being that fun, it's not good.
No, not really. So yeah, that is that. Back over to Pew, number 4.
All right, number 4 really stuck with me because it's more of like the way he died, kind of. I mean, he was defeated already at this point, but like
JFK?
Ha! Wow.
Screw Eyes got eaten by crows.
That is a good one. I forgot about that movie.
I forgot about it, but there was this Wikipedia page of villain defeats, and I found on there. So I was like, shit. And then I watched a clip of it on YouTube, and I was like, damn, he just fucking eats him. He accepts it. He's like, whatever. He doesn't even scream or anything. It's literally the birds just come up on him. It forms the birds form like a bigger bird, because that makes sense.
Yes.
And then there's just the screw in his eye that's left. It's like, shit, they didn't even take him. Like, it's like a million crows just took one bite and said, done. It's fucking done. One bite. That's all I needed. Oh god, it's swift, it's effective, and it's powerful.
And it makes sense because he had already given up because he had been proved that he was only trying to make everybody else scared because he didn't want to be the one that was scared. So he had given up at that point. So it makes sense. He was just like, "Fuck it, take me."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Mole 4.
The single greatest Alan Rickman role of all time. Hans Gruber.
Nice.
That scene is also iconic, but there's a reason. A lot of the ones I've picked, a couple of them I feel are iconic, but this one is it's amazing. Where he's basically got the wife, he's got the gun to her, and he's like, "Oh, what was it you said to me earlier? Oh yes, yippee-ki-yay!" and goes to shoot Bruce Willis's character, and he's like, and just starts to laugh, and Hans Gruber starts to laugh, and you see behind his back he's taped another gun, and Bruce Willis's character pulls out a gun, shoots him, and basically he goes boom through a window, slow motion, grabs the wife's hand to try and pull her with him, and then right as he's pulling out his gun when he's when he's dangling there in slow motion to try and shoot him, you see her go and just undo her bracelet he's holding on to, and he goes, "Oh no!" It just falls, boom, and that splat onto the concrete. It's just fucking wonderful. I loved Alan Rickman as fucking Hans Gruber. It's amazing, and that slow motion death is it's awesome. Die Hard.
It is the greatest Christmas movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I actually do think it's a great Christmas movie.
It is. All right. Moving on to me for number 4 here. Let's go over here because I went with one next one that was not a death, but one that was great, not only because this was a comedy defeat, but still highly effective, still iconic, and happened multiple times. And one of the great things about a villain is when, a villain keeps coming back and you're able to continue defeating them the same exact way. It's just kind of poetic.
Oh God, is it Sandman with a glass of water?
No.
I was gonna say, is it Claw with a 13-year-old child?
No, that would be hilarious, though. No.
Is it putties with a giant button on their chest that clearly says "Explode me"?
No, that should be on there, though. No. No, it's...
Is it James Phoenix for not winning a Golden Award despite his name saying gold and yet he has none of these?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's when you're dealing with an annoying bully and you can repeatedly push him into manure. Because Biff is an amazing villain, and that's just great every time it happens, every time I see it. Manure! I hate manure!
Was that real manure? No, it wasn't.
Precisely. Yeah, and that's great. Is it's so bad that that and the movie itself have turned Don Wilson into an actual villain if you ask him about the movie.
I wouldn't say villain. I'd just say someone that's sick of hearing people ask him about it.
But I do encourage you to go listen to his song about being sick of people asking him.
Like in recent years, people went back and asked him about it again, and he's more okay with it a bit more now. Okay. Due to enough times passing, he's not spending every single day being asked, was that real manure?
Yeah.
And being asked the same questions. Because to be fair, Walter Peck was a similar way from Ghostbusters of when the original came out and he's walking down the street and people are calling him no dick and saying, that man has no dick and stuff. And he obviously took that as an insult. Eventually, he said years later, he learned to accept that the fans are doing it out of love for the role he's done and they enjoyed him in that role. So he's embraced it and he came back to do stuff with Ghostbusters in recent years.
Nice. Alrighty, so let me go back to logo. Boom, and let's go back over to pew number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is a villain defeat, not a death, and I only picked this one because of pure satisfaction that it brings. That's the reason, because it is enjoyable to watch, and I enjoy the gift.
Okay. Yes.
It's Hulk just smashing a Loki like a rag doll. Like, he's like, puny God, throws him away, and he just looks like, So it's just fun. It's just a fun little thing, and I love the GIF. It's brought us a wonderful GIF.
Fun fact for you, Pew, years later, they actually referenced that on the wrestling. That's literally the ending for the Brock Lesnar v. Bray Wyatt match. He literally swung him around like that and went, puny God, and walked off.
I don't know if you're lying or not, so I'm going to accept it.
I am lying, but that totally should have happened.
It should have. I agree.
Puny God.
Although that was a great scene. The one thing I know about that scene is all the people on the internet that suddenly went, "Oh my God, he said puny God. Hulk must be an atheist." Those people annoy me. Anyway, Mole number 3.
Number 3. I had to give it to this just because it was a sad scene.
Okay.
And yes, all of these squares come from that scene.
Okay.
We have as much of the scene as possible. This is Spike sacrificing himself to kill the Uber vampires and stop the first evil in the season 7 final, which literally destroyed the whole town of Sunnydale.
Wow.
That was cool. Basically, there's a necklace, and it's a magic necklace, which makes it sound silly. But Angel brings it with Buffy and says he wants to wear it because he's the champion, because they said the champion's the vampire with a soul. Buffy takes it off him and says, it's not you. A basically type situation, and actually says to Spike, no, look, here's the necklace. He said it had to be worn by a champion. Gave it to Spike, so he was finally seen as worthy in her eyes. He puts it on, and as you can see there, he literally burns as the necklace explodes everything around him. She finally tells him she loves him, which is great. It's also great, his reply, because she's like holding his hands as it's burning, and she's like, I love you. And he's like, no, you don't, but thanks for saying it. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, no, just go. I want to see how this ends. As he laughs, as he sort of burns and blows up, killing everything. And, which makes this even more funny just for a Spike moment at the same time, the Sunnydale sign falls over. Which is only funny because, as Pew will know, because she's watched Buffy, they had a running joke where he returned one season drunk and ran into the sign, knocking it over. Then every time he returns or so to the series, he kept knocking the fucking Sunnydale sign over. Then when he dies and sacrifices the last thing, it just goes, dum, and it falls over. You're like, that's fucking funny. But it was great because nothing could stop these uber vampires, as they call them, because they're like super vampires. And the first evil is a manipulative bastard. And Buffy managed to cast a spell that made everyone who'd be a Slayer be a Slayer. Spike sacrifices himself, so you got all this stuff on all the fronts, and it's just a great way to start defeating them. Which I argue they probably didn't defeat him because I don't think you can kill the first, but they at least delayed their plans and stopped them for a while. So that's cool.
Nice. Alrighty, very cool. Back over to me.
And it's Mysterio from Spider-Man 2, where you meet him in a shop and punch him once and he dies.
No.
That was amazing.
That was amazing, though. Let's see. Which one was I going to use next? I'll use this one next. Because there is one from something that you guys will be familiar with. It's the Evil Queen. Not once, but twice. Because in both instances, the Evil Queen was defeated not in a big fight, not by shutting her down, not by killing her. The Evil Queen was defeated by friendship and love. The Evil Queen, the arch enemy, they actually befriended Regina. They turned her good. And when a second Evil Queen came back, Regina took that lesson and passed it on by willingly giving up part of her now pure heart to take some of the Evil Queen's darkness back in so they could both have a chance to be good to some extent. That was a cool scene.
To be fair, I'll say yes once. The second one, I would say I wouldn't count because they made a big deal about how she's still part of her.
Okay, fair enough.
So I would make the case it's still her. But yeah, this is the first time. The
fact that the Evil Queen was like the arch enemy of everybody and in town, and that the first two seasons was the ultimate enemy, and then they actually befriended her and turned her good, and she became one of, if not the most popular character on the show. And that she's one of the few that's coming back for the now season 7 reboot.
She's going to be a grandma?
Now. A few are returning now.
Well, she's one of the regulars, but there's a lot that are doing cameos, yeah.
Yeah, because...
She'll be a grandma.
Like, they announced the Selena's returning and stuff.
Yeah. They did, they said, yeah. Yeah, she'll, technically, if you think about it, she'll be a grandma and a great-great-grandma? Because she's Snow White's stepmother, therefore she is Emma's step-grandmother, Henry's step-great-grandmother, and therefore the baby's step-great-great-great-grandmother.
I would argue the second her father died and they became enemies, they weren't stepmother and stepdaughter.
Fair enough. I'm going to say because it's her kid and her kid's kid, the grandma.
That's fine.
There you go.
Of course, she's not going to remember it for a while. We're going to have to get back to that part, but...
Oh, God.
Yay, more bullshit to plod it along.
Yep.
Season 7 sounds delightful.
All right.
I'm already getting ready to exercise.
I figured you would be. All right, Pew, number 2.
All right, number 2, I really like because, first of all, he had to construct a really roundabout way to defeat him because of his own moral values. And then once he did it, he executed a rather creative solution.
I know what this is.
Everyone was against him on the way he wanted to defeat the enemy.
Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
Is this the ending to the movie Megamind?
See? Like here, he's like changing Fire Lord Ozai and taking away his bending.
It's not the end. It's not the end of Megamind.
Megamind, no, it's not.
That film was so much better than Despicable Me.
That's such a great movie.
Yeah, so...
And that ending was cool when he takes it away and he's just powerless. It is fun.
I really like it because everyone was like, no, you can't kill him, or you have to kill him. That's how this ends. That's literally how this ends. And he's like, no, no. And he had to even consult other spirit guides and stuff to find a way to see if it's possible not to kill. And even the spirit people said, yeah, you should probably kill him. But he did his own thing anyway, and he made it work.
Yeah, which I will say, I think what he did was crueler than killing him.
Probably.
A lot crueler, because that guy spent all his life in the Fire Nation, being the chief of the Fire Nation. Bending and being firebender was really important to the core of who he was. So essentially, it's like a extreme violation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it is cool when they do that.
What I said, I think it's morally because Aang was uncomfortable with killing, and that's against his personal code. So he was thinking of himself when taking him out, not what.
He was.
Not what
he was.
Yeah.
He did the superhero morality thing of killing is bad, but if you leave them in a state where they wish they were dead, that's okay.
Doesn't Batman do that?
Exactly. As I said, it's the superhero. A lot of them do that, where they'll defeat an enemy and leave him like paralyzed. Like, it's okay because I didn't kill him.
Yeah.
You crushed his spirit forever.
Yeah, but that's in one of the early scenes, Batman, one of the early scenes of Injustice too. So wait, no, you're not killing, but you're okay with traumatic brain injury. Like even Damien calls him on that shit. All right, Mole, number 2.
Well, actually, my number 2 does come from a comic.
Oh, okay.
And I will say, so do the proud men die, crucified, not on a cross of gold, but on a stake of humble tin.
Ah, yes.
The first, he came back, but that was huge. Like, he killed Gwen Stacy. Spider-Man tracks him down to kill him, and still refuses to give in and kill him, and he ends up killing himself by mistake. That's fucking huge. And that whole speech there about the cross of humble tin, that's a great speech. That's such a powerful image, and it's great. So yeah, Green Goblin from the Amazing Spider-Man comics.
Then they made a movie of it in a Power Ranger suit.
They did.
Peter, don't tell Harry.
Yeah, but the film messed up the important parts of that. Like, he should have killed Kristen Dunst on the bridge.
Yeah.
Only because he teased the Gwen Stacy thing and died the same way. It meant more because of what happened to Gwen. So it was really satisfying all the way around.
Well, did he kill Gwen? I thought it was Peter killed Gwen by snapping her neck when he tried to web grab her.
See, that's one of those things where it's debatable, but most people are willing to say it's the Green Goblin kill. Because let's face it, he threw her. If he hadn't thrown her,
that wouldn't happen, yeah.
So people still credit Green Goblin as killing him, although Peter had the guilt because he wondered if he did.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Moving on to me.
Until Amazing Spider-Man 2, where she clearly just bounces the fuck off the floor, and he does it. Like, oh god, I think I killed her. No, that was gravity. You're not the Amazing Gravity Man. You're not Isaac Newton, man. She's fucking bounced like a rubber ball. But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Her spine and brain smacking into the concrete, that was okay. But the tiny bit of webbing, that's what killed her.
Yes. That movie's so bad.
It is. I had a friend once. It didn't work out.
Yep. Anyway, my number 2. Being that I'm a librarian, I was obligated to put a book on this list somewhere.
That wasn't Kingdom Keepers?
Yes.
I already put a book on the list. Comic books are still books.
That's true. You're right. Valid point.
Let's not be a literary snob. Especially if your choice then becomes Steelheart.
Yes. Hey, Steelheart's cool.
So is Coke Zero.
That's true.
I said Spider-Man's not.
Oh, Spider-Man's amazing. I love Spider-Man.
He is. He's amazing. He's spectacular. The one thing he's not is superior.
No.
Or ultimate.
Yeah. Anyway, Steelheart. Steelheart.
I know how the villain dies in this.
How does the villain die in this?
Steel Tribesman goes on arm and rips out his steel guard and holds it up to him.
Not quite, but good try.
Oh, he went to go and get the book, thus rendering his stupid little picture obsolete.
Yes. Now I have both.
He could have just held up the book and been done with it.
I forgot I had it over there.
Oh, it's so good you forgot you had it.
Most books I get from the library. I only have some over there. Anyway, Steelheart. Shut up. So this is really cool. This is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. Basic premise. People get superpowers. The people with powers turn evil. Humans without powers are trying to stop them because they kind of took over the world. Steelheart is one of the bad guys. He rules what was left of Chicago in this dystopian future. And the entire premise of the book is that the main character, David Charleston, is trying to hunt down Steelheart to get revenge for Steelheart killing his father when he was 8 years old. And so David finally met, and the entire book is about trying to figure out what Steelheart's weakness is, because everybody that has superpowers has a weakness in this universe. And one of Steelheart's powers is being invulnerable to damage, so they can't kill him unless they find his weakness.
Is it the same as Steel Pokemon?
No.
Nah.
That's a good thought, though.
If he's steel, does that mean his weakness is fairy type?
Is that what it is now?
I think it is.
Okay. That's what you should get. Pokken Tournament on DX.
I did.
Anyway. Nice. Anyway.
And I got it right here. I held it up earlier.
Nice.
Because this review will be coming.
Cool.
Maybe this one too, if Jim's library actually holds games that are relevant.
We'll find out later. Anyway. They spend the whole thing trying to find out what Steelheart's weakness might be so they can kill him. While discovering weaknesses of some of his lieutenants to taking them out along the way.
Is it cupcakes?
It's not cupcakes. It's interesting because weaknesses can be a wide variety of things. They can be something they can be logical, like for example, a guy with shadow powers is weak to UV light, or it could be, something more convoluted. But anyway, they're trying to find out Steelheart's weakness, and it gets to the very end of the battle.
I would make the case that is convoluted.
Yes.
Shadow powers, so UV light. Wouldn't all light be the one? It would be the weakness.
It was specifically like that. Sometimes the weaknesses are unique or don't make sense. It's part of the world.
Yes, but you introduced that one as being logical.
Well, seem to be shadow. A form of light would be somewhat logical.
All forms of light would be treated equally.
Theoretically.
He's light racist.
Yeah. Anyway, so effectively, they go through this whole book trying to find it. Spoilers, never read this book, by the way. I probably should mention that. That's kind of a given, but I'll say it anyway. So they spend the whole book trying to find Steelheart's weakness, and they get to the very end of the big battle that they have at a stadium at the end of the abandoned stadium at the end of the book. And Steelheart comes down, and they're trying to fight him off, and he beats everybody, destroys everything, and it looks like he's about to win. And they had previously planted explosives in the building. In the stadium as a backup plan, even though they knew that wouldn't hurt Steelheart either. They figured they'd have something to at least take some of his guys out if shit went wrong. And so there's a moment where Steelheart has this really notorious habit, despite having incredible superpowers. He likes to personalize when he kills people, and he likes to kill people with their own weapons. It's a shtick of his. And so he manages to corner David, and he's the last one. And David has his gun, the gun that belonged to his father years ago.
So his weakness is people whose weapons heal themselves.
No. Yes, but no. Anyway, they've been trying to deduce his weakness because they know that 8 years ago when David's father was killed, he managed to wound Steelheart before he died. So something about that moment allowed Steelheart to be hurt. They weren't sure what it was. So they spent the whole book trying to find out. And they thought, okay, maybe it's a specific gun. Maybe it was this, that, the other thing. And they couldn't figure it out. And so David has the gun, and Steelheart beats him, and he takes the gun. And David has a thought and some things that they had figured out because they had seen Steelheart propaganda posters and all this stuff, despite him being big, mean, and in control, and all this excessively making him seem in control and mean. And David manages to shove this tiny button detonator into the barrel of the gun before he hands it to Steelheart. And so Steelheart takes the gun and not knowing it's in there and goes to shoot David. And, to say goodbye, and he fires it. And because when the bullet comes out, it hits the detonator, which sets off the explosives. And as it turns out, Steelheart's weakness was that he could only be harmed by someone who wasn't afraid of him.
That's shit. Oh my god, if I read that, I'd be so pissed.
That is really shit, especially not only is that a
horrible.
horrible weakness, because, yeah, it's also terrible because if you fire a bullet through a detonator, it's just going to destroy the button. It's not going to go, oh, and press it. That's not how this works. It would blow it the fuck
Oh
up.
god,
Well, that's how it worked anyway. He
That
fired
is
the
shit writing.
that
Well,
is absolutely shit.
Avoid
Were you
that
pissed?
book.
Were you pissed when you read it? Would you read that shit like over like 4 times and be like, "Are you kidding me? How many pages?"
I thought it was unique because it's the last thing people expected. But anyway, so because he
garbage.
that's why they figured out. Oh, that's why he was putting all this propaganda out to keep people afraid of him.
Anyone rebelling against him wouldn't be afraid of him because they'd be able to stand up.
But the thing is, no, everybody was afraid of him because of all the crazy powers that he had. Even that they said they weren't. The only reason David's father wounded him is because when he first appeared, David's father thought that he was a good guy and thought that he was going to help them. And that's why when the gun went off inadvertently and it struck it grazed Steelheart inadvertently, David's father wasn't afraid because he thought he was a good guy, and that's why it hurt him. But everybody else who has ever tried to go against Steelheart failed because they were afraid of him on some level. But when Steelheart fired that gun and set off the detonator, he was the one triggering the explosive, and he wasn't afraid of himself. So boom, dead Steelheart.
You're right. That's
terrible. That is terrible writing.
Boo.
That is terrible writing.
I think it's a great defeat. It's my list. Fuck you.
Oh, that's so stupid.
You've not done the thing you thought you did. You have not sold that book.
So
I'm avoiding that book.
I don't have to have sold the book. It sold well, and it got 2 sequels.
Called
Twilight. What's your point?
Yeah, Twilight made a ton of money.
But you always say it's not a good book.
Well, I haven't read it, but I assume it's not a good book. But either way, you said I didn't sell it. The book sold. The book was successful. I didn't say it was good.
No, I said you haven't sold it when you were telling people to go out and buy it.
Okay.
That's you as an individual.
Fair enough.
All right.
It's like, for example, what I do for a living when I sell people stuff. The stuff still sells, but I'm still responsible for my sales.
Fair enough.
Boom. Lawyered.
And what you sell doesn't disappoint people, I bet, as nearly as much.
Probably.
Was that book written by Stephen King by any chance?
No, it was written by Brandon Sanderson, who is a well-known science fiction and fantasy writer.
The only reason I thought Stephen King, who's also well-known...
Because that sounds like a Stephen King twist.
No, it's just he sucks at endings. So his endings are really shit. And that's
true.
A terrible fucking ending.
He himself has said that. That is true. No, I don't know.
All right. So
That's like saying, oh, the only way to defeat him is if you happen to be lactose intolerant and hold a weapon that contains milk. It's like, I don't get this. I don't get this.
All right.
So anyway, that was my number 2. Back over to Pew for number 1. Let's wrap this.
Okay, so my number 1 is super satisfying, kind of like in the similar vein of like the Hulk Loki thing, except because this has a great punch. It's a great movie, by the way. It's just a great movie. Probably like a really, really good movie.
Is it Lassie?
No, and it had a great
Jella.
punchline, and then it had an explosion.
That's a big explosion.
Yeah, it's full of shark. You know what I'm talking about? Jaws. Take this, you son of a bitch.
Shark still looks fake.
And that doesn't matter. It's fun and it's awesome. And like the shark, look at that. How the fuck did he come back from all that? Look at all that. How did he come back?
And to be fair, at the time of its release, it was the most realistic shark. And Jaws 1 is one of the best films ever made.
It's a really good film. That's why there's a whole freaking fest in which I'd love to go to. It's in the state. It's somewhere near Florida. One of the states near Florida, where they have a whole Jaws theme, where they actually are on the ocean with a giant like mega floating screen where you can watch Jaws at night on the ocean.
And based on the weather that's happening right now, it's now a Sharknado.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, bad. Anyway, so this is that was my number 1 because it's just amazing. It's super fun and goofy and ridiculous and amazing.
All right, and let's go to Mole for number 1.
My number 1?
And can I make a prediction? Is this a Disney villain?
It is, because I told you what it was. That's not a
No,
prediction.
I didn't remember if you actually told me. I just took a guess.
I literally told him Scar was going to be number 1.
Nice.
Because that's a great fucking death. Sort of. Simba doesn't kill him. His minions or the hyenas basically rip him apart when he goes down when he gets thrown off the cliff. He's the only Disney villain that's actually really won. He killed Mufasa, which is awesome. And then he took over the kingdom, which is fucking great. So at the end, when Simba finally comes back and does it, you get a sense that it's like the greatest ending to a Disney film ever. It's a little silly when all the stuff where all the grass just grows and stuff again. However, that's meant to be like a time lapse, so I will allow this. Because under Sky, he's picking apart all the animals and shit that the ecosystem would fail. Which is true. If you remove all the animals from the rainforest, a lot of it would die.
Yep.
So yeah, Scar.
Nice. Very cool. And my number 1 is also from a book. It's not that serious again. This one is also
Voldemort.
What's that?
Is it Voldemort?
How did you know? It's a good guess. I'm using the book version here. This is from Pottermore, representative of the books, because the movie did not do this right at all.
Because it's Harry Potter Call of Duty.
Yeah, basically. That's a good comparison. Yes.
That's how basically it was. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. But in the book, it was significantly better because
it's probably because, to be fair, the ending they would have used for a movie, they probably made something that looks more visually pleasing.
It did.
That's the reason they changed a lot of stuff, like the ending for Watchmen, the comics. It's completely different to the movie because they didn't think the octopus would work. So they went with something completely different, and it works better for a visual medium.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like this one had a little more impact, only because, of course, in the book finale, as opposed to the flying around outside of Hogwarts, battle between Harry and Voldemort type deal, the whole thing comes to a climax in the middle of the Great Hall as Bellatrix Lestrange falls as she's defeated by Molly Weasley, leaving Voldemort as the last of his army there. And Harry reveals himself that he's still alive. Everybody thought he was dead. And it ends not with this big, we're going to fly around and all this cool stuff and everything else. No, it ends with talking, but with really good talking. It ends with Harry explaining to Voldemort that the battle's already over because Voldemort has already defeated himself through his own ignorance and arrogance.
You have done that yourself.
He has done that himself. Explain to Tom that you went through all this to defeat me. You have the Elder Wand there, the most powerful one ever made. But what you failed to realize, you failed to understand a lot of concepts. Number one, the concept of love. I sacrificed myself to protect these people, and they have protection from me the way I had it from my mother that saved me from you all those years ago. Number two, you're not the master of the Elder Wand, because being master of the Elder Wand doesn't mean killing its previous owner. It means defeating them. As we emphasized on this list, those are two different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. It's so cute.
And
it's Dobby. Oh,
I was gonna say Hermione's not looking so good.
That's horrible. Anyway,
she never looked good.
Yeah. And explain to Voldemort that because
look at the Beauty and the Beast doll.
There you go.
Yeah, but that because he explains that because Draco was the one who defeated Dumbledore by disarming him, he was the Elder Wand master, not Snape. So him killing Snape did nothing. And Harry disarmed Dumbledore earlier at the mansion. So Harry's actually the master of the Elder Wand, and Voldemort, still refusing to listen, still casts the killing curse, and just like it did 17 years prior, it rebounds on him. And this time without Horcruxes, Voldemort dies. And unlike in the movie, he doesn't turn into a bunch of tiny little pieces of whatever and dissolve into the air, which was weird. He just hits the ground with a finality that, no, he is mortal. He's not some immortal being. He is and always has been a man who's just really good at magic, and he's now a dead man.
Technically, he was immortal. Remember the prophecy? Now Harry's immortal.
If you believe that interpretation of the prophecy, yes.
The exact wording, yes. Why, do you believe a fan theory about the wording being inaccurate?
No, never heard that theory.
Boom! Then it must be right. That's literally the exact wording.
Now, neither can live while the other survives. Now Voldemort's not surviving, so Harry can live.
And also, Dumbledore pointed out the prophecy's bullshit because there's literally a whole hall full of unfulfilled prophecies from people who never came true, and they were just spouting shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would make the case this one is true, apparently.
It's kind of is true, but that's
Yeah.
because he knew it and he kind of made it come true because he probably could have spent his life hiding if he really wanted to.
Yeah, well, there was always debate because the prophecy could have come true a number of ways because that prophecy with its statements of acknowledgement of who the person was could have either been Harry or Neville because they were both born as the seventh month died. Both their parents had thrice defied Voldemort. There was possibility that it could have been Neville, but Voldemort chose Harry, which is what made the prophecy about Harry in the first place.
Yep, although I believe the author, she does backpedal on a hell of a lot of stuff when on record as saying it was only ever going to be Harry.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, she tends to backpedal depending on what media coverage she needs that week.
Mm-hmm. Either way, Voldemort's defeat in the book was amazing purely because it was a matter of, Harry being smarter and understanding more than him. It was brains and not magic that really defeated him in the end, and that was really cool that they had that dramatic final standoff, and the defeat was that rather than what it was in the movie, which while it looked really good, didn't have nearly the same emotional impact. So Voldemort's defeat in the book, really good. Deathly Hallows.
Part 2.
Part 2. Alrighty. So that was our top 5 villain defeats. Since we're at the end, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Jafar for being so stupid as to get himself trapped in a genie lamp. Because that was a really good defeat also.
Yep. Of course, since you mentioned books, how can you not mention Lord of the Rings?
Because I haven't read it.
You should, it's good.
I've seen the movies. I've seen the movies, but I haven't read it. Have you tried to read that shit? It's dense as fuck.
I've read that shit.
I read it.
I read that multiple times when I was in school. It was fucking awesome. The book was amazing.
Yeah, it is good. You should read it.
Only complete idiots with no respect for reading can't get through it.
You should read it.
Literally,
even I read it.
Literally in school, when I was in high school, a lot of people read that book. It was always checked out.
Fair enough. Anywho, this has been the final countdown. Our top 5 villain defeats. You guys have any honorable mentions?
I was gonna say Scar or possibly turning back to stone.
That's cool.
One I'd throw out there just because it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mumra.
Ah.
In the original Thundercats, because he came back straight afterwards, which is fine. But over here, we didn't get that second series for a while, and they released the first part of it as a movie called Thundercats Ho, the movie. And basically, the end of it, he gets the Eye of Thundera, and he tries to open it to get its power, and its sheer power comes out and just blows him the fuck up and just destroys everything.
Nice.
So you're like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Maybe. Although, as I understand it, Thundercats Ho is also the name of the porn parody.
Yep. Thundercats Ho was a great movie. I loved the original Thundercats.
Fair enough.
And the other honorable mention would be absolutely any rich father from any kids film who eventually learns the error of his ways and spends more time with his children.
Aww.
Even though some of them are, you're like, that the father has a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just throwing out that as a joke because there was it's been loads where it's like he's a businessman. He doesn't have time for his kids because he's trying to make them have a roof over their head and food, like a selfish bastard.
Indeed.
But it's okay. He doesn't need his job. He can stay home and play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So stupid. But an actual honorable mention, which I almost put on my list, was Dr. Eggman.
Ah.
In every single time he gets defeated in the first game. and every other time. Mainly because when he blows up, unlike Bowser and stuff, he just goes into lava and that's it. When anytime you defeat Dr. Eggman, his little ship smokes. He gets and he sort of goes crazy to get the fuck away.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I like that little animation.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, stay tuned and join us next month when we're going to be counting down the top 5 Halloween villains.
Honorable mention from Jim was also Ivan Ooze being kicked in the nuts.
He was kneed in the nuts. Get it right.
Because that's the point of that joke. Jim
Yes.
proving why he's a virgin. Since 19 whatever the fucking year he was born.
Anywho, Halloween villains coming up next month. And other great things. Join us tomorrow. We're going to be...
Wait, Halloween villains?
Halloween villains. That's what it says on my list.
How many Halloween villains are there?
Mike Myers. The guy that wasn't Mike Myers.
Oh, like
from the
horror
Shitty
movie
Third
villains.
Yeah,
Okay,
like those kind of villains, yes.
Okay,
No, I'm
horror
literally
movie.
listing villains from the movie Halloween of Mike Myers and the guy that wasn't Mike Myers in the third one when it's called Season of the Witch was about a toy maker and it was fucking shit. So the next film Mike Myers comes
Yeah,
back.
he means
and
horror ones because I'm like, how many villains besides like the Halloween series actually do evil shit on Halloween?
And when Michael Myers comes back, it is worth noting he's not Austin Powers before anyone makes the obvious joke of, oh, Michael Myers. Ah.
Of course he's not Austin Powers. He's William Shatner.
See, thus I made the comment and the joke is no longer void.
All right,
Yeah,
bye.
and be sure...
Michael Myers was awesome. But yeah, I'm assuming Halloween villains, and if Jim goes horror villains, that's going to be easy to do.
Yeah. I would say villains are just from any Halloween-themed movie or television show or media item.
By Halloween, we mean horror.
Award.
Award.
Yep, if it's Halloween, we need horror.
Yeah, I'm not going to agree with that. As long as it takes place on Halloween or is Halloween-related, it's fine. And be sure to join us tomorrow when we're going to be going
That's your way of doing a list that includes no horror villains in that.
Yes.
Thus ruining what Halloween is about.
Except Chucky. I'll include Chucky.
That is also a horror movie.
I know.
That's why he said he would include them. But yeah, he's going to include, that time on Power Rangers where they beat someone on a clip show for Halloween.
Oh, that chick on Halloween Town who the
come on,
worst person was the actress.
Come on, Mo. You're telling me our list doesn't need the pumpkin wrapper.
Not when the list can also include people like Jason, Freddy, Pinhead.
Fair enough. At any rate, Halloween villains next month, and tune in tomorrow. We're going to be taking a look at WWE Jetsons Robo WrestleMania, and of course, reviewing the No Mercy pay-per-view.
Yay!
On the WWE Network, which is $9.99. Speaking of the WWE Network, did you see that poll?
Which poll?
They sent a poll to all their fans asking them about new content. About
I did. Okay, I did see. Yes.
If they increase the price, so it might not be $9.99. Which types of shows do you want? And one of them is like a Game of Thrones style show, and all the other stuff.
That was good stuff.
You've not seen Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't seen Game of Thrones. We'll see you next time, folks. Peace.
Bye.
Pose out.